Hi there, everybody. How are you today? This is a chat with Glendora. And you are a perfect person. You're not? Oh, well, we can show you how to be perfect. We got the answer. We have the solution. May helping others dwell in your heart. May helping others dwell in your heart. May you be rooted, R-O-O-T-E-D. May you be rooted and grounded in love, in helping others. That comes from the Bible, the New Testament, the Epistle, Ephesians, Paul's letter to the Apostle Paul's letter to the people in Ephesus, where he founded a Church of Christ. Let helping others dwell in your heart. You be rooted and grounded in helping others. You know, that's the secret to everything. The fruit of success, the fruit of happiness is helping others. Or the fruit of helping others is happiness, success, love, joy, peace. So that's our Bible passage. This is soul to soul. We used to call it Sunday morning communion, but it's soul to soul. And every week we have a hymn. The minister said, whoever raises his hand first gets to choose the first 3 hymns. And the old man, the old lady, the old maid, she got her hand up first. And she says, I'll choose him, him, and him. This hymn, if you really think about it, it covers everything. It covers all of our existence. It covers the magnificence of the universe, of God, of life. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, for the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from your birth over and around you lies. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of every hour, morning, noon, and sleep at night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light. O Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. There's a couple more verses to it. I'll sing it to you. And you will see that it covers life. It covers your life. It covers what you are in the universe. Ooh, ooh, ooh. jokes. Why did they invent the upside down lighthouse? You don't know? It's for submarines. And the man says, I am very organized now at work. I have everything organized at work. And my first resolution is I do not take any calls from home. How did your work go today, dear? Oh, it was dreadful. The computer broke down and I had to think. The new girlfriend said to the new boyfriend, what do you do for a living? And he said, I have a key job at IBM. And his friend said, that's right, it's his job to lock up at night. Where do ships go when they're sick? Where does a ship go when it is sick? To the dock. Daddy, what is an example of minority rule? Daddy, having a baby in the house. An airplane was in trouble. The pilot said, we're out of gas and we're going to crash. So there was a Boy Scout and a preacher and the smartest man in the world. But there's only 2 parachutes. And the smartest man in the world says, well, I should have one of the parachutes because the world needs me. And the preacher says, well, I've been here a long time. Maybe my work is done. And he says to the Boy Scout, you take the other parachute. And the Boy Scout says, there's no need to worry. The smartest man in the world just jumped out with my backpack. Another parachute joke. The man jumps out of the airplane and the ripcord doesn't work. And he says, St. Francis, save me! And a deep voice from the sky said, St. Francis Assisi or Xavier? And another man jumps out of an airplane and his parachute doesn't work. And as he's plummeting to the ground, he sees another man coming up from the ground. And he calls over to him, hey, you know anything about parachutes? And the man over there says, no, do you know anything about gas stoves? They're uplifting jokes, aren't they? They're about parachutes. For the joy of eye and ear, for the heart's and mind's delight, for the mystic harmony, linking sense to sound and sight. Lord of all, to Thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. For the joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above, every word that's tender and mild. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Helping others dwells in your heart. You are rooted and grounded in helping others. How we treat others. After all is said and done, the only thing that matters is how did you treat others? What? After all that is said and done, the only thing that really matters is how did you treat others? When you look at the body in the casket, you say, the only thing that really mattered, when all was said and done, how did you treat others? Does that sink home? Do you intercept? The teacher says, for every student who has a spark of genius, there are 10 others who have ignition problems. One teacher was asked by the reporter, what do you like best about teaching? And she said, opening up young minds, making good Americans, shaping the next generation. And then he said to the teacher next to her, what 3 things do you like best about teaching? And that teaching said June, July, and August. Why did the prince ask his daddy to come to kindergarten with him? Because the teacher said, bring a ruler to school. And why was the teacher angry at the owl? He just didn't give a hoot. What kind of school did King Arthur go to? Night school. Bulletin. A freighter carrying a load of purple paint collided with a freighter carrying a load of red paint. And at last report, the crews of both ships were marooned. You are rooted and grounded in what? Helping others. What's our word for this week? Acknowledge. You think you know what it means, and you're right. But when you look at G.C. Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary, published in Springfield, Massachusetts, it really electrifies your soul as to what it means. It means to own ingratitude for a benefit or an imposing obligation. Somebody does something nice to you, for you, that is a benefit. You acknowledge that. Or you owe somebody something. That's an imposing obligation. And so you acknowledge that. Say thank you. You can't beat saying thank you. Money talks, but saying thank you talks. Money talks, and the man says, mine's been very silent lately. Now, acknowledge also means making public your knowledge of something. Acknowledge means making public your knowledge of something. It also means to admit. It also means to own. It also means to avow. And it also means to confess. Do you have anything you want to confess? If I were you, I would go into your sanctuary, your alone spot, your God spot, and I would get down on your knees and I would confess what your conscience told you that you did wrong. And I would do a few other things too. I would acknowledge it, right? That was first. And then say you're sorry. It was a dumb thing to do. I wished I didn't do it. And my conscience is all upset that I did it. That's not the end. No, that's not the end at all. The next step is that we atone. We go out, we do it over again, and we do it right. If it is possible to go out and do it right, as I've told you before. It's possible to take the toothpaste out of the tube, but can you get it back in again? So if it's a situation where you can't do it over again, it's too late. And remember, you can't go home again. Remember this, that time moves in only one direction. Think about that. Time moves in only one direction. It doesn't go backwards, ever. So you tone. All right. It's a situation where you can't go back and do it over. So what do? You go out and you do something grand, magnificent, munificent for somebody else. And then you avow that you will never do such a stupid thing again. You will never do it again. So it's easy. If there's something on your mind to confess, that's the steps. Is your conscience clean? What's your conscience? Don't you think it's a voice of the soul? Your conscience is very, very clear. Your conscience tells you exactly what to do, and it tells you exactly what not to do. And there's only one thing for you to do. Say what you do, what the conscience tells you to do. Polar bear, do you have a conscience? Yes. Your conscience tells you to help others. Kindness, gentleness, goodness, love. Help others. Okay, so we did our Bible lesson, and we did our hymn, and we did our jokes, and we did our word. So we're through? Yeah. Do you have anything to care and share with me? I'm here to care and share with you. The Glendora Public Access Television Network is '69 TV stations from Boston to San Diego, Chicago, San Jose, San Antonio, San Francisco, Portland, Oregon, Los Alamos, Atlanta, Georgia, Montgomery County, Maryland, Trenton, New Jersey. It's a whole bunch of them. 69 of them. I want to thank the people in Atlanta, People TV. I want to thank Michael for being so astute and so efficient and so sufficient and so able and so swift putting a chat with Glendora on People TV. I want to thank Public Access TV in the District of Columbia for letting us be members, which is really against the law. Public access is what it says. It's public. You don't have to be a member. Okay, but we did. We sent them money. You know, money talks. They wanted $30 a year to be a member, so we sent them another $32 also. So now we're about to send them a program on a computer. I think we'll use one of the Queen's programs. They're kind of good. One thing you can say about a Chat with Glendora TV show, it always has a happy ending. Everybody is glad when it's over. We want to thank Gary Black and Jim Hofecker for taking the program by computer in Buffalo, Jamestown, Albany. We want to thank Jack George for finding a way in Middletown, New York to take the program by MPEG-2. We want to thank Amy Johnson in Bolton, Connecticut for taking the program by her email. We want to thank Robert Jackson, who sends the Chat with Glendora by computer to, I think it's 14 TV stations. Danbury, Seymour, Carmel, Norwich, Springfield, Mass, Public Access TV, Great Neck, about 5 or 6 others. We want to thank Leslie Johnson, CAN TV, that stands for Chicago Access Network, for taking the program by computer and teaching us how to do it. We want to thank Gregory, who has effected these things. We are working on PhillyCam. There's nothing so simple that PhillyCam can't make it difficult. So we're working our way through that. Now, a Chat with Glendora has been on. Oh, we also want to thank Queens for making Queens used to be the champion in making things difficult, but now Queens is really sort of workable. The program goes in on SD. Omar takes care of the program for us. Thank you, Omar. And he sends back our SD card. Bronxnet. Public access in the borough of the Bronx, New York City. A Chat with Glendora has been on Bronxnet ever since 2000. And David Jenkins in Glendora, or Soul to Soul, he runs a church. He actually runs a church helping people, as churches should and do. And he was fine, and we were sending the program to him by computer. All of a sudden, David Jenkins isn't there anymore. There's a new man there named Bernardo. David Jenkins called himself a public access coordinator or a programmer. But this new man called himself a traffic manager. Well, now you know you're really in for trouble. A traffic manager and public access TV? Well, all the other TV stations, the application is 1 page. Mr. Traffic Manager, his application is 4 pages. You can't submit it by mail. You have to submit it by email. You can't talk to him on the phone. You have to talk to him by email. And you have to have a sponsor. What's that mean? You have to have somebody who lives in the Bronx say he wants your program to be on TV. Well, that took 5 or 6 months. And you have to send proof of residency. Well, Mr. Traffic Manager, your big brothers, Manhattan Public Access TV, and Brooklyn Public Access TV, and Queens Public Access TV have done away with that. What you are doing is Neolithic, medieval. It no longer applies, having a sponsor. Okay, so this is going on for 1.5 years. The public in the Bronx is not having the benefit of our messages that we know the solution to happiness. It is helping others, and it is being one with one another, and it is being equal one with another. We know that. And this valuable message is not getting to the people in the Bronx because of Mr. Traffic Manager Bernardo. All right. So Robert Jackson hears from Mr. Bernardo again. Robert Jackson is the one who puts my programs on computer. He's not the sponsor. Dear sweet Tom Phileas. Phileas, isn't that a lovely name? Sweet Tom Phileas, who is Benny's brother. And Benny is the wife of my friend Esther at the Seventh-day Adventist Church, one of the 5 churches that I support. Mr. Robert Jackson hears from Mr. Bernardo, I want to see a pilot. A pilot in public access TV? His brothers over at Manhattan Neighborhood Network put it very succinctly. As public access operators, you play whatever the producer sends you. He wants a pilot. He wants to judge it. He wants to exercise forbidden editorial control. Which breaks the law. Federal, state, and municipal law. Title 47, the United States Code, 521 et sequitur. Actually, it's Section 531E. You cannot exercise editorial control over public access TV. It is a public forum. If a man stands up on the sidewalk and does his sidewalk free speech, the municipality can't say, I don't like the color of your soapbox. You can't speak. Mr. Bernardo fell into a deep well, exercising forbidden public access editorial control. Also, he violated another public access law, first come, first served. Glendora has been on Bronxnet TV, first come, first served, for what? 18 years? 17 years? Yeah. He violates first come, first served. And Bronxnet has already admitted Glendora's right to be on Bronxnet 17 years ago, every week. Okay, by this time Glendora is a little exercised. But she doesn't say anything. She says, okay, Rob Jackson, send him a pilot. What pilot are you going to send him? Send him the jokes that we told at the North Chatham Methodist Church that the people enjoyed so much, and it's such a fun to see them laugh. Well, Mr. Bernardo says he doesn't like it. He doesn't approve it. Why? Well, the quality is grainy. It's full screen. I like full screen, but what he wants is a black border all around the picture. Don't fence me in. Let it be full screen. And the titles at the bottom of the screen, he doesn't like that, the crawl. Well, what do you think, Glendora, what do you think her temperature is now? So Glendora says to Robert Jackson, will you please send him the special programs that we did for Queens? They're really done well, they're simple. They don't have a character generator or crawl at the bottom of the screen. Okay, Robert does, and he does that. We don't hear anything. How long has this been going on? What, a year and a half, 2 years? 2017, 2018? We don't hear anything. So Glendora, on her Wonderbar computer phone, says to voicemail, call Bronxnet, please. It's the middle of the day, nobody answers the phone, and it's a recorder, and they do this repeatedly. You cannot, Michael Knabe, run a public access television station with an answering machine. People have to answer the phone, they have to return their calls. You are, after all, in the communications business. You have to communicate. So, that did it. An explosion. An access. You know what an access is? It's a fit of fury. And there's another good word for it. It's such a good definition, I can't think of it. Anyway, so Glendora said on the recorder, is the chat with Glendora being cablecast in the Bronx, on Bronxnet? If it is, fine. If it is not, Glendora is going to do something that you're not going to like. And it is something that will very likely cost you your job. And also the job of the executive director, Michael Knabe. You are in rank violation of Title 47 of the United States Code 531E. You cannot exercise editorial control over public access. You cannot say you like it or you don't like it. Whatever I send you, you have to play. Ask Manhattan Neighborhood Network. They understand that. The only three things that can keep you from playing a chat with Glendora would be nudity, obscenity, and indecency. These are not an issue. Indecency, nudity, and obscenity. Those are the only three things that are not constitutionally protected. You are in violation of another public access law, first come, first served. And you're way, 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 way behind the times on insisting upon a sponsor, for which there never has been any statutory authority. Anyhow, that could never stand up in court if you could find an honest judge. I think that was it. Oh, and I left him my telephone number. Well, last week, Robert Jackson called me up and said, "Good news, the program is on Bronxnet." Now that's a great story of a little tiny person standing up to a big corporation and having the rights observed. It's a David and a Goliath, right? Everybody cheers and applauds them. My conscience tells me that it was too bad that I had to go so selfish and so self-centered and so pugnacious. That bothers me. I'll have to think about that. You tell me. What about that? Bronxnet. Bernardo. Folks, this is the next to the last day of winter. You mean tomorrow's the last day of winter? Yes. Tuesday is spring, the vernal equinox, and already the sun is rising at 7:04 a.m. and setting at 7:04 p.m. Already the daylight is equal to the nighttime. Already. Well, are you saying you didn't like winter? No, I'm not. I love winter. I love winter. I love those long, dark nights when you can get your work all done and up to date and you've done everything that your conscience has told you to do. And you can rest and you can meditate and you can commune. I love those long, dark winter nights when you can go alone and your list is empty, alone and empty, A&E. And you get a score for 100 and a P for perfect. What's that mean? You've done everything your conscience told you to do. Winter affords you that opportunity. And winter really strengthens you with the challenge of the temperature going down to -11. The ice, the snow, the slipperiness, the shoveling, the uncertain footing, the dangers of slipping and stumbling and falling and breaking bones. But I love winter. That white velvet. And you stop and think of how much work that is for the universe. How much work God does with a snowstorm. Billions of those beautiful, beautiful geometric snowflakes. And it's over. You know, we think it's wonderful that our computer phones on daylight saving time will automatically set the time ahead. But God has been doing that for centuries, for millennia. Don't the tulips all come out at the same time? Don't the forsythia burst forth at the same time all over your neighborhood? Don't the crocus come out first? Don't the little snowdrops come out first? The crocus and the hyacinths? and the magnolias and the weeping cherries and the azalea? Don't they come out all at once together, all over the place? For the beauty of the earth, for the glory of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. Lord of all, to thee we raise this our hymn of grateful praise. Both Lincolns are in the garage. The 1980 Lincoln, which is huge, and the 1993 Lincoln, which is just a little bit smaller. Neither one of them is as big as the 1979 Lincoln. They took 18 inches off of that to make the 1980 Lincoln. Anyway, they're both in the garage. Now people would look at it and they say, no, you can't fit 2 cars in that garage. But I'm not a theoretical estimator. I'm an empiricist. And I said, try it. So I found a man to try it. Both Lincolns are in the garage. The JVC jersey that we bought off of the marketplace on Facebook, a great place to buy secondhand equipment, gave me such a hard time, folks. He wouldn't tell me how you go from record to video playback. I was dazed figuring that out. And then he wouldn't tell me how you go to menu so that I could erase the footage that we had already made on the DVD. He wouldn't tell me that. That took 2 days, and Madeline Chapin, my friend. But finally, and I knew that the universe was trying to get through to me and telling me how to do that, but I was just too dumb to hear it. Well, finally it's working. This morning I couldn't do the program on the JVC jersey, which is brand new, beautiful, and it's really back in the days when they knew how to make a camcorder. It even comes with a remote. You can stop and start it, you can zoom. And it has so many connectors and so many things. It even has a flash card. Great piece of equipment. Great ensemble. JVC Averio. How old is it? Let's see, 2010 I had my other JVCs, which are about 10 years. I would say it's 15 years old, but it was brand new. The couple had used it just for their wedding. They never used it again. Okay, when Gregory gets here, this morning I couldn't use it because I couldn't figure out how to get the SD card into the slot. And by the way, it has 2 slots, 2 SD card slots. Back in those days, they didn't have a SD card for 128 gig. You could get 2 gig, you could get 4, you could get 8, I guess, you could get 16. That's about it. Now you can get 128. You don't need 2 slots for the SD card. Every time Pat helps me, or Sandy helps me, or Sue helps me, I want to give them money for helping me. They will not take it. They are friends. They will not take it. I finally broke through that yesterday. I said, if you will help me for an hour, I'll pay you $10 for that, and we'll put it into the jar for the homeless who stand up at the exit 5 of the thruway in Everett Road asking for help. I got through to them. Sandy took $20, and I'll give her 20 more, because she worked 4 hours on the in-mail. And Pat sent the SS Glendora documentary 13 half-hour DVDs to Pittsfield and got them in the mail before the post office closed at 11 Saturday. And she took one $10 bill for that, and we'll give it to the homeless. And that's a good thing, the SS Glendora documentary from 1953 to the present. It's a very good story. It's really the history of television, too. Great television that started in 1949. Consumer. Okie dokie. We did all the jokes, did we? I'm not too sure of that. For the joy of human love, brother, sister, parent, child, friends on earth and friends above. Every word that's tender and mild. Yep, that's all of the jokes, folks. So I guess we did it all. Now, may be God of peace Himself sanctify you completely through and through.